Hello and welcome back to the Onyx tutorials. Today we're going to learn about how to use more complicated fixtures. So we're going to select an Artiste DaVinci, one of my favorite lights. Well, it's good, but it's basically the younger, whatever you'd call it, not younger, but smaller. I was trying to use a metaphor, but I failed. It's like a smaller version of the Artiste Picasso, but that's all I have, so, well, I mean, I could patch an Artiste Picasso in here, but I'm fine with the Artiste DaVinci's. So we can set its pan and tilt, then CMY. If you're used to RGB, this is pretty weird, but it's okay. I prefer RGB, but the spots, it just has to do with how they work. They have to have CMY. So cyan and magenta would make blue, because if you mix cyan and magenta on RGB, what do they have in common? They both use blue, so that'd make blue. So if you did magenta and yellow, you'd get red, because they both have red. But the thing is, the more color you use, the darker the light is going to be, because it's literally putting glass over it. So if you just do a little bit of magenta, it's still going to be pretty bright. So if you put it at like half magenta, it's still going to be pretty bright, until you start putting full magenta. Or any other color. And then this also has CTC, which means you can control they call it temperature, but think of it like, if you know the difference between cold and warm light bulbs, that's pretty much what it's doing. So like if we take cyan, cold is going to be your pure color, warm will make it kind of lighter. It's like hot magenta, warm magenta, whatever it's called. I'm thinking hot pink, but it's not, because it's magenta. So yeah, so let's keep it on cold for now. Let's just leave it on white. So this fixture also has color wheel. But why did I say color wheel? So weird. So you can use manual colors, not mixed colors. The only perk of this is you can do this, which creates some pretty cool inner effects. So yeah, color macros don't work on capture, so we can't see those. And if you try to mix in colors, like if you did color wheel on top of this, it just kind of gets all faded and doesn't look very good. I don't really see a use for that, so let's just leave it light white for now. I can talk. So these are rotating gobos, and we can focus this really quick. Focus is under beam, and so we can select our rotating gobos, then we can tell it to rotate. We can set its speed and its direction, and we can also align it so we can have the gobo however we want it, or we can just have it stop mid-spin, so we could have it stop anywhere in its spin. And then we could do all of these different gobos and spin them all. Then we have gobo shake, which doesn't appear on here. Then we have gobo wheel spin, so we could just spin through all our gobos. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. Yeah, no one cares. I don't know if that showed up, but I got a Windows update thing. And then we have our static gobos, which also have gobo shake, which doesn't appear on here. And then we can stack the gobos on top of each other, so if we spun this, we should have two little dots spinning around, so that creates a kind of cool effect. And then we have our animation wheel, which creates kind of an animation, as it sounds like. So this can create some really cool effects. And then we could stop that so we can have it go on its own, maybe? I know what I'm doing, definitely. And then we could put gobos on top of there to animate the gobos. So that's a really cool feature. Now we have our beam settings. So we have our zoom, which basically, if you don't know what zoom is, makes your beam bigger or smaller. And we can stack gobos. I said stack weird. Stack. We can put gobos on top of the zoom. It's like if we had some gobo. Let's do this one. I like this gobo. So we can zoom that gobo, which is a pretty cool effect. Not what I meant to click. And then focus. So if we have a gobo active, this does what it sounds like. Let's make this wide. It focuses the gobo. So if we get this out of focus, it's going to be kind of blurry. We can refocus it. Our iris. So if you think of like a camera that has, whenever you turn it on, it has the iris that manually closes and opens. That's what this is. So that's a really cool thing. We can, guess that's not supported on capture. And then we have frost, which kind of blurs. This is normally used for like a wash effect, so if we go off any gobo, then we basically have a wash. It's not going to look very good. But compared to this, which is more of a spot type effect, we have an actual wash, which we can fade in our colors. So we essentially have a wash, which is a very nice feature, and very helpful. And then, if we select something like this gobo, we technically have a beam. So this is technically a hybrid fixture, so we have spot, wash, and beam all in one, which is a really cool thing. And then we have our prisms, which split the image, which is hard to see right now. Maybe if we put this on with narrow, no, still doesn't show very well. But if we put a gobo, we can see it. It splits the image. So let's get a more visible gobo. Which one would be kind of apparent that that's good. So then if we start spinning our prism, those images are going to spin. Which we can get this going really fast for some cool in-air effects. Then if we get the gobo rotating on top of that, it looks really cool. Especially if you have it spinning in the opposite direction. We get those spinning fast. We can get some really cool in-air effects. Okay, let's stop that, because that's kind of a little too fast. And then we have autofocus, which doesn't work on capture. And then a linear prism also doesn't work on capture. Maybe it does. Is that working? Nope, it's not. But the 3-facet works. And then beam effects, you don't really want to worry about. We can set our pan tilt speed. So like right now it has a very slow pan tilt. And then if we take that, I don't have it on this PC, but I normally put my pan tilt to speed with my actual pan and tilt. You know what, let's show how you do that. So basically you go into your menu, general, parameter groups. I can take my pan and tilt speed, where is it? Here. Then put it in pan and tilt. And then, yeah. So now if I select this, why is it not showing up? Do you have to save that? I don't remember having to do that. Apply, yeah. Where is it? Okay, maybe this isn't working. Why is this not working? Technical difficulties, everyone's favorite. Okay, let's not do that. Let's just leave it how it was. So now this should be back. Yep. Let's see what this does. I've never really played around with this. We're just playing around with everything. Okay, so that's the basics of a spot fixture. Now we can play around with the wash. You know what, let's not play around with all of these washes. Let's just play around with the middle one. And then, let's move this. So all these washes have is pretty much just color and zoom, and obviously intensity. So we could have a pretty narrow beam, or we could have a wide. So these aren't very powerful on their own, but once you get multiple of them, then we can have a cooler effect. So like if we were to take all of these washes, put them towards the middle of the stage, if I can do that, then take their beam, set it on wide, we pretty much have a full stage wash. That's why they're called washes. Then we have non-moving fixtures. So these are pretty boring. And then next we have really fun stuff, which are beams. These are, they're fun, but not the best thing to play around. Not like the best. Like, you wouldn't want only beams. You'd want something other than just beams. So, let's aim these. Let's just put these on. These have very sensitive pan tilt. So let's just put them there. We can color mix, which is a cool feature that not some of these cheaper fixtures have. These aren't cheap. Why did I call them cheap? These are like $1,000 something. Thousands of dollars. I'm not actually sure how much these cost, but I'm guessing in the thousands range. So they're not cheap compared to what I have. My moving light was $75. These Artiste Da Vinci's are $6,000 each. So yeah. These have Gobos, which most of these are beam reducers, so we can have some really small beams. Then we have actual Gobos that are different shapes and things. Beams normally don't have what do you call it? Why can't I talk? Beams normally don't have rotating Gobos or zoom. Why is slow and faster reverse down here? That's not good. And then we have our focus, which I already showed you what that does. Frost, which is kind of pointless on a beam. We have an 8-facet prism, so that's, and this looks like a linear prism, I think. Yeah, it's a linear prism. Then we could spin our prism. And then these also have a 6-facet prism. That doesn't appear to rotate. Nope, no rotation on the 6-facet prism. Here's its rotation. Maybe. Yeah. So we could have an 8-facet prism. Then we can set its value, or its position. Then we have our pan tilt speed and all that. Dimmer curves I've never really gotten. I don't exactly know how they work. And so that's the basics of a beam, spot, and wash, and non-moving fixtures. Then we also have white fixtures. These are just one channel, just intensity. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.